I might be unique and different than others out there, but I can help organizations. I can explain concepts in ways that others don't. And you stop comparing yourself to others. That's when you start to transition. Welcome to Life of a CISO. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a CISO and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a CISO. Welcome to one of my favorite times where we get to spend some virtual time together with Life of a CISO. And this is your host, Dr. Eric Cole, where we get to talk about what you need from technical skills to mindset to perspective to be a world-class Chief Information Security Officer. And as you know, it's out, right? Cyber Crisis, right? It has arrived. It has come out June 1st. So excited. It is doing well, doing a lot of great reviews on that. So if you don't have your copy yet of Cyber Crisis, pause right now and go to your favorite site. You can Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. If you want choices, you can also go to secure-anchor.com, Cyber Crisis. It gives you choices, or you can just go to your favorite reseller. Remember, two reasons for this. One, you want to go in and get copies for your executives. It's a quick read. It's a fun read. I've ran this by a lot of CEOs, COOs, CFOs. I had over 20 different people review it, and based on their feedback, updated the chapters. It's a fun business book that's easy to read because it's going to give them perspective that cybersecurity is the biggest concern and top priority. They are a target, and cybersecurity is their responsibility. If you work in security or you've been doing this for a while, you're probably not going to learn anything new technical, but also read this book because it's going to give you the perspective and language of executives. I had somebody read the book and they gave me back feedback going, but Eric, that's not how I talk or I act or how I present information. And I said, so how successful are you today presenting to your executives? And they sort of looked saying, yeah, not too successful. I'm like, so maybe you want to change, right? This is also a book, and that wasn't the intention. The intention was this was written for non-security folks, business people, to understand the threats. But as more people were reading it and it came out, I'm realizing it as a second, maybe equally important purpose, which is to help security folks, whether 5, 10, or 15 years, world-class security engineers, understand the perspective, the angle, and the language they need to speak to be successful communicators with the executive team. Because whether you're currently a CISO, you want to be a CISO, or honestly, if you don't want to be a CISO, right, and you want to stay world-class security engineer, you need to, at some point, be able to effectively communicate with executives. And that's what this book is all about. So definitely want to pick up your copy, get copies for others after you read it. One of my rules with books is after I read a book, I will then go in and give it to somebody else to read. Now, yes, there's some books, like some of the classics like Think and Grow Rich and Blue Ocean Strategy, that I like reading multiple times a year. So I kid you not, I buy the book, I read it, and then I give it to somebody. And then in 6-9 months, when I'm like, I need to read that again because there's concepts that I didn't fully master, I'll buy another copy. And to me, it's worth it because I'm not only supporting the authors, which they deserve it with great books, but I'm also then helping other people, because my rule is when I give somebody a book, I have 2 questions. Will you read it? And will you give it to somebody else? And if they hesitate on either one, I kid you not, I take the book back. I'm like, you're not worthy, right? You're not worthy of this book, right? Because you have to agree to read it and agree to hand it to somebody else when you're done. So you always want to continue to pass on the knowledge. So thank you for all your support. As always, questions, comments, I love to hear from you. If you're interested in our CISO course, secure-anchor.com/CISO, would love for one of our amazing team players to jump on a call with you. And you never know, maybe I take calls periodically. Maybe you'll jump on a call with me, right? And we'll have a great conversation. But what I want to talk to you today is a pattern I've noticed this week in a couple of my coaching calls. And I'll explain in a minute, but what I'm calling this session is becoming a superhero. Tapping in to your superhero abilities. I believe everybody, when they are born, is given a unique capability, a purpose, something they do better than anyone else with the least amount of effort, and they enjoy it. And every one of us has one of those superhuman capabilities, right? It might not be like the real superheroes where you can fly or turn things into fire, right? Or instantly teleport yourself. But the point is, we all have special abilities given to us at birth. And here's the problem. To me, the most frustrating and upsetting thing is to see somebody leave this planet without sharing that skill with the rest of the world. And we hear this referred to many different things. My favorite way of explaining it is, don't die with your music inside you, right? Each of us have a unique gift, a unique super ability, a unique skill. And instead of hiding it or covering it up, we need to share it with the world. We need to go in and share it. And I always get the question where people are like, but Eric, how do I figure it out? How do I go in and find out that ability? The trick is to actually be you. Don't try to impress anybody. Don't try to say or do what other people want you to. Just be you. What just comes naturally in your unique, authentic state? Just let it come out. What do you love to do? What are things that doesn't feel like work that you just enjoy more than anything in the world? And people tell you that you're quite good at it. Right? It's one of those things, it's easier than you think, but it's harder than you think. Because if you sit there like, today, I'm going to figure out my purpose. And you're going to sit there and, right? It's not going to happen because you're going in and trying too hard. But if you just let it out, you just let yourself be you, that's your unique ability. And the reason I'm bringing this up in the context of a CISO, because I'm sure some of you are like, okay, Eric, good stuff, right? Definitely believe we each have a purpose. But what does this have to do with being a chief information security officer? And it's this. Stop comparing yourself to others. I was just on a call 2 days ago, and the person's interviewing with a couple of jobs, some really big companies, Fortune 50 companies for the CISO position. And every minute, I kid you not, he's like, Eric, but I'm not like Jimmy. And I'm like, in the beginning, I'm like, who's Jimmy? Jimmy's one of my really good friends. He actually got me into cybersecurity. We've been friends for 12 years. But he went in, and this is exactly what this guy told me. He goes, he went in, Jimmy, and he was proactive and got all of the cloud certifications, and he's up to speed on all the cloud migration technology. And I decided not to do that. I decided to take a different route. But I just, when I go into these interviews, I just don't have that technical skill or ability that Johnny has. And I said, okay, first of all, is Johnny a world-class CISO? Is that who you want to be? Is that the position? He goes, well, no. And I said, okay, so if Johnny's not who you want to be, he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a smart guy, but stop comparing yourself to him. If you want to be a quarterback, why are you comparing yourself that you can't run as fast as a wide receiver or catch the ball as good as a wide receiver? That's not the position you want to be in. So stop. Second, let's say that the person you're comparing yourself is actually the world-class CISO. It's that person that you want to be. So talk to them, learn from them, figure out what some of the unique skills are, and then adapt it to your superpower. Adapt it to what makes you unique. And here's the other thing. That person can only work one job. So that's what I told them, like, okay, is this person that you're comparing yourself to interviewing with the same jobs that you are? And he said, I think so. Great. How many jobs are you interviewing for? 4. Great. Let him take one. You take one of the other 3, right? So even if it comes down to that, who cares? But yes, other people might have certain skills or things that you desire, and that's okay. But don't try to be somebody else or compare yourself. Because if you go in to that interview trying to become a CISO, or even if you get the job and your whole day is, okay, I'm not as technical as this person, or I'm not as sharp as this person, or I'm not as this or that, and you keep comparing yourself to others, you're not going to be effective because you're not tapping in to your superpower. So what is that unique superpower, and own it? Just want to take a quick break. I hope you're enjoying the show. I have this free webinar that I would love for you to check out if you want to become a world-class CISO. To me, my superpower is sort of combo. One, I believe that I'm on this planet to make cyberspace safe. So I love cybersecurity. I love helping people. I love giving tips and tricks. I believe that I can take very complex topics and explain them in a way that non-technical people can understand. And I believe that I do that very, very enthusiastically. So I believe my superpower is the ability to communicate with non-technical people in a way that they can understand, take action, and are excited about making cyberspace safe, right? And once again, it doesn't have to be super clean, right? It's just, what is your natural state? And my big message here is to be a world-class CISO, be you. Tap into your unique power. I'll give you another example. I was working with a female. She wanted to be a world-class CISO. And I mean, she just had the most amazing personality on the planet. I mean, when I would do calls with her, she's one of those people that after 5 minutes, you're in a good mood, right? You just can't help but be in a good mood. Just very positive, very optimistic, just very radiant, and a lot of energy. I would often joke with her that, hey, can we periodically talk? And she's like, why? I'm like, because I'm always in a good mood when we talk, right? It's just very, very contagious. And I'm like, oh, you're going to be world-class. I mean, world-class CISO. But she couldn't find a job. Every time she went on an interview, what ended up happening was she'd come back and go, Eric, I didn't get the follow-up interview. They weren't really interested. And it just didn't make sense, because I'm like, the person that I'm talking to and the person that I'm doing mock interviews for would get hired at every single company. So I just couldn't understand it. So I don't always have this opportunity, but I was able to in this case, where I knew one of the companies she was interviewing with, and I knew the HR department. I said, listen, I know this is an odd request, but when you interview her, can I just dial in stealth mode? So just, I'm dialing in, I'm watching and listening, but the name doesn't show up. She doesn't know I'm there. You'll know I'm there. And I'm just sort of listening and observing because I just want to see what's going on. And I'm watching the interview and I'm like, who is this person? She's quiet. She's reserved. She's trying to imitate or be somebody else, but she's not being her. And I get done with this 20-minute interview and I'm like, I wouldn't hire that person, right? I wouldn't have brought that person in. So I jump on a call with her and I say, how did the interview go? And she's like, it sort of went okay, but I don't get the same response and energy like when I'm talking to you or other people in my organization. And I don't know what's going on. And I started asking questions. I'm like, okay, when you go into an interview, who are you trying to act like? What are you trying to pretend? And she goes, well, in my organization, there's this executive that's very, very effective. They moved up the ranks very, very quickly, but they're very quiet, articulate. They give very short answers. And I'm afraid that I'm going to be too, and she actually said this, too bubbly, too positive, too optimistic. So I just go in and try to be very conservative, reserve, and pretend to be that person. And I said, so how's that working out for you? Right? And then finally I told them, like, can I be honest with you? I listened in. And she sort of smiled and got sad. I'm like, you nailed it. I said, the person that I'm talking to right now, when we do our coaching calls, would get every single job out there. But the person that you're becoming or being when you go on those interviews is not your authentic self. You're trying to pretend to be somebody else. Now, it's okay to learn from others, right? It's okay to learn some strategies or techniques from others, but ultimately, you need to be you. You need to be your authentic self. And if they don't like it, who cares? I'll tell you, it's very interesting to watch because one of the areas that our company Secure Anchor delivers on is expert witness consulting. And you basically testify in a court. And most of the people that testify are college professors that are very, very quiet, very articulate, right? It's a courtroom, right? So you're just sort of very soft and not a lot of personality, not a lot of energy, this or that. And I go in to testify, and that's not me, right? And I can't be somebody else. So I'm there and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like waving my hands and jumping on the chair. I even tell a couple of jokes. I've made some judges laugh, which the attorneys at first were like, don't do that. But once again, it works. And guess what? I get my message across to the judge and jury where they understand complex topics because I'm my authentic self. Now, careful. I don't offend anybody, right? I do wear a suit, right? So I don't come in with tie-dye on because I know that's not proper. You have to respect the institution of a court, which I absolutely do. Have the utmost respect for judges, jurors, attorneys, right? It's amazing job that they're performing. So I respect the system. So I'm not one of those that you're going to come in and try to sort of disrespect or stand out with tie-dye shirts and shorts on, right? No. I'm going to go in and wear the suit, wear the tie, do all those things. But ultimately, when I deliver my message, I'm going to be authentic Eric. I'm going to be who I was meant to be, which is a little energetic, sometimes a little silly, but also very articulate in getting my message across. So back to the example I was saying, I told her, listen, be you. You are pretty awesome. You are pretty amazing. You are pretty energetic, right? People are going to love the real you. I said, people don't like the fake you. That's obvious. You went on 9 interviews, but people will really like the authentic you. Be you. Trust me. And guess what? If 1 or 2 of them don't, who cares? So prior to us sort of identifying the problem, she went on 9 interviews and got no offers. After she decided to be her authentic self and I convinced her that that's her superpower, and she showed up being her and not trying to be somebody else, she went on 4 interviews and got 3 job offers. So trust me, being your authentic you is not guaranteed, but it is going to lead to success. So first and foremost, when you show up to interviews or as a CISO or doing your job, are you being the real you? Are you tapping in to your superpower? Are you showing up with your cape on, right? And once again, I don't recommend actually wearing a cape, right? But your virtual cape of your superpower. Are you actually trusting that you're a pretty amazing, awesome person? So first and foremost, stop comparing yourself to others. Second, stop doubting yourself. You are more capable than you realize. And here's one of the cool things. There has never, ever been a problem, situation, or crisis, no matter how big it is, that you haven't overcome. And how do I know that? Because you're sitting here today listening to this message, which means you're still alive, you're still kicking butt, taking names, and you've overcome any obstacle. Because if there was an obstacle that you weren't able to overcome, you wouldn't be sitting here today. Right? So just sort of think about that. I know I went a little deep on you there, but it's true. You are capable of handling anything that comes your way, but you have to believe in yourself. I was coaching another person where every time I would go on the coaching call, they were like, Eric, I just can't see myself as a CISO. I want to be a CISO. I'd love to be a CISO. It's my dream job, but I just can't imagine myself in that position. I can't imagine myself anybody hiring me, and I just can't imagine doing it. And I said, are you willing to change those beliefs? And they're like, Eric, I just can't see overcoming them. I'm like, listen, I love you. I support you. I'll pray for you every day, but I'm going to refund your money because I can't help you. I said, when you're ready to change, let me know. I said, but if you've decided that you're not going to change that thinking and you're going for the rest of your life to believe that you're not a CISO and nobody's going to hire you and you're going to stay in that job, it upsets me greatly. I wish I could shake you and get you to see the clarity. But the point is, you're one of those folks I talked about that unfortunately are going to die with your music within you. You're not going to let the world see the true you. You're not sharing your superpower with the world because you don't believe in yourself. You got to change that. You absolutely can. You absolutely can become a CISO. And it's simple. Find some simple examples in your life where you've actually helped people. Find some simple example in your life where you actually exhibited leadership. Find some examples in your life where you actually made a difference in an organization. And trust me, if you look hard enough, they are there. You're just not looking at them. You got to take the lens off and believe in yourself. But once you start believing in yourself and you tell yourself, I'm a world-class CISO. I might be unique and different than others out there, but I can help organizations. I can explain concepts in ways that others don't. And you stop comparing yourself to others. That's when you start to transition. That's the point in the movie. And sorry, but I grew up with Superman. That's the point in the movie where Clark Kent, this sort of basic person with glasses, a little geeky, somebody you wouldn't think twice if you saw them on the street. You wouldn't think of them as the first, second, or third person to call if there's a crisis. That's the time when you believe in yourself and stop comparing yourself to others that Clark Kent transforms into Superman. Somebody who is very respected, very powerful, and the first person everyone would call when they need help. So you need to go in and pick whatever superhero you want, right? It doesn't matter, but you need to go in and become your super person. Superman, superwoman, super person, whatever term you want to use, but you have to go in and tap in to that superpower because that's when everything changes. When you realize your purpose in life, that's when everything starts to change. And I know if you've listened to my Life of a CISO before, you've probably heard these two stories, but as I sort of wrap up this message, I want to share two stories with you. First, prior to 1954, for 100 years, from 1854 to 1954, no human ran the mile in under 4 minutes. People actually believed, there was no factual data behind it, but people actually believed that if somebody ran a mile in under 4 minutes, their heart would explode. Now, let me ask you this. If you're a runner and you truly believe that if you run a mile in under 4 minutes, your heart is going to explode and you're going to die, do you think your brain is going to allow you to do that? Right? Your brain is a goal-achieving machine. It's going to be like, this ain't happening. We don't want to die. Right? Your brain wants to protect you. So even though there were many people that could technically run a mile in under 4 minutes, because of that limiting belief that had no factual basis, people limited their superpower and was not able to achieve their fullest potential. Then in 1954, an individual by the name of Roger Bannister basically said, I'm not going to believe that. I don't believe that's true. I believe my superpower is that I can break the 4-minute mile and run a mile in under 4 minutes. And guess what? He did it. He did it in under 4 minutes. Now, here's the interesting part. This is the thing that's most fascinating to me. If Roger Bannister was an anomaly, and it really was factual that a human being could not run a mile in under 4 minutes, what would have happened? There would have been a blip, Roger Bannister, and then no one else would have done it. For the last 70 years, nobody would have gone in and ran a mile in under 4 minutes. But to show you what happens when you break a limiting belief, within a month of Roger Bannister proving that a human being could run a mile in under 4 minutes, other people broke the 4-minute mile. Within 6 months, there were 10 people. And today, there's over 1,500 people that have ran a mile in under 4 minutes. So that shows you how powerful limiting beliefs can be. They can actually cause you not to operate at your full potential. So one of the things in your life, and specifically to be a world-class Chief Information Security Officer, what is the current, and you probably have several, what is the current limiting belief that's holding you back from running your 4-minute mile? Is it that you're too young, you're too old? Those are sort of common ones. Or I'm not good enough at business. Or I can't see anybody hiring me. Or I can't see myself sitting in the boardroom. Or why would anyone listen to my message? Or there's a lot of people that are much smarter than me in cybersecurity. Whatever that limiting belief is, you need to overcome it. You need to overcome that belief because it's holding you back. And here's the coolest thing about limiting beliefs, just like the 4-minute mile. They're not true. They're not correct. So if you're trying to become a world-class CISO and you're not there, or you're a CISO and you want to go to the next level, I want you to spend a little time thinking about what is that limiting belief that's holding you back, and then you do a couple things. First, it's easy to tell it's a limiting belief because it doesn't feel good. When you think about it saying, I can't do this, or I can't do that, do you feel happy and excited? So as soon as you feel sad and down, you know it's a limiting belief. Here's the coolest part. If it makes you feel sad and unhappy, not only is it a limiting belief, but it's not true. Then find evidence in your life to support the empowering truth. The empowering truth is you are one of the most amazing communicators on the planet. You are one of the world-class CISOs that are out there. Start going in and doing the empowering truth. Now, your brain is like an operating system. It's been programmed. So if something's programmed, what do you think is going to happen? The limiting belief is going to pop up. So it might take you 2-3 months to overcome that. But if you constantly go in and do the empowering truth, I am a world-class CISO. Whenever you get a doubt, I'm a world-class CISO. I even joke, before you go in to an interview, just like you had to do when you got in trouble in elementary school, take out a piece of paper and write 50 times, I am a world-class CISO and everyone wants to hire me. I am a world-class CISO and everyone wants to hire me. I am a world-class CISO and everyone wants to hire me. And guess what's going to start happening? You're going to start believing it, right? It's going to start happening. So that's the first trick to tap into your superpower. The second one is start doing what you love. Start baking your pie. Marie Callender, she was working for a Greasy Spoon diner, and she was a single mom supporting her family and barely making ends meet. And this diner was going out of business. The owner said, listen, we're not doing good. We're going to go out of business. We're probably going to shut the doors in a couple of months if business doesn't increase. Now, Marie Callender always liked cooking, and she always liked making pies. And she enjoyed it. It wasn't work, and she felt that she made pies better than anyone else. So she went in one day to her boss and said, listen, I know business isn't good. I know you said we might be closing down. Are you okay if I bake a pie tonight and bring it in tomorrow and sell the pie? And the owner, I don't care. It's a pie. Whatever. Sure, whatever. I don't care. So she goes home that night and bakes one pie. She brings it in the next day. Within a couple of hours, every slice sells out. The next day after that, people are coming in asking for the pie. On the third day, by 9 o'clock, they're sold out of the pie. And the owner's like, listen, this is great. People are coming in for the pie, but we don't have any. Go home and bake another one. So then she started baking 3 pies and 5 pies. She started going in and making so many pies, she saved up to buy a commercial oven. It got to the point where the guy wasn't selling burgers anymore. They were selling pies. She bought the diner and it was doing nothing but selling pies. If you go today to any grocery store and go to the frozen food section, you will find multiple freezers of Marie Callender pies. Cherry pie is my favorite, but she has a great apple and blueberry pie also. Yeah, I love my pies with some vanilla Haagen-Dazs ice cream on top. But the point is, she dominates the frozen food section with pies. And I think at last count, before they sold it many years ago, they had 37 restaurants selling their pies. Now, here's my question. What if Marie Callender did what many of us do, which is never bake that first pie? What if she went home and said, I'm tired. I need to help my kids with homework. I need to clean the house. I'm exhausted. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow, and keeps putting it off and putting it off. We would never know Marie Callender. We would never have the opportunity to enjoy her pies. And she would have unfortunately left this planet with her music still inside her. But she did what many people don't, which is take the first step, which is bake that first pie. So I always say this to my kids, and I'll say it to you. Bake your pie. Take the first step. If you want to be a world-class CISO, if you believe that securing cyberspace and helping businesses implement effective cybersecurity strategies is your purpose in life, it's one of your unique talents, why aren't you going in and applying for jobs every single day? Why aren't you interviewing multiple times? But Eric, I went on 3 interviews. Really? Go on 30. Well, I went on 30 interviews. I thought this is your dream. I thought this is your purpose. I thought this is something you do better than everyone else. Yeah. So why don't you go on 100? Why don't you go on 200? Remember, it doesn't matter the number of no's, because you only need one yes. So whether it takes 5 interviews, 50 interviews, or 500 interviews for you to get that job that lets you tap in and transform to Clark Kent into Superman or Superwoman or Superperson, isn't that worth it? So don't go in and say, well, I tried. No, because if you tried everything and you really did, and you really baked your pie, you would have that world-class CISO job that you deserve, that's your purpose. So as I wrap up, go in and overcome those limiting beliefs. Break your 4-minute mile. Start baking your pie and start tapping into your purpose. And make sure that you let nothing get in your way, because to me, the worst possible thing that could happen to anybody is they die with their music still inside. You have a unique superpower. Share it with the world.